Hello friends and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another tutorial on ISTQB Agile Tester sample paper discussions. We are talking about the different types of sample questions in this playlist. Today we are in chapter 3 and talking about Agile testing methods, techniques and tools related questions. So far we have covered few of them and we'll be looking at some more questions for today's tutorial. The next question what we have for today is question number 33 and let's have a look on that. The question is saying that an agile team is assigned to a project to update an existing medical device to a new technology. That means it's something which is a legacy, well-defined requirements. All we are doing is migration from the old existing platform to the new one. Now, since the last release of this existing medical device, a new version of the medical device standard has also been received, that is released. User access to the device is changing and will be documented in the user stories. So that means they're also trying to say that since this particular device has been existing during the last release, they have a new version of medical device standard as well. That means they have to adhere to that particular standard. So user access to the device is changing and will be documented in the user stories. That means we all are covered. Okay. We are not skipping those information. We are taking care of it. Now, based on this information, and in addition to the user stories, which of the following would best provide the relevant information to support your testing activities? That means given the information what you really have, what else do you think you would need in order to do the needful, right? So we have given with 5 different statements. It says updated version of standards document for the medical system. That's one I think is very important because the what is that has been updated, what is the new in the new version is very important for us to have with us. That is updated version of standard document for the medical system, because it's just not that simple to say. Even if we know on a nutshell it is very enough, it would be enough. Now we're talking about the standards. So one new standard has come up, so we need to know the document is updated with that standard or not. Right. Second, existing defects or typical defect areas in existing system. Why would that be important for us? Because of course, given that you have this risk analysis, so given that you have the known defect ideas or inputs of the previous identified defects, the new update testing would also become easier, or you can concentrate on the areas where you had failures found in the previous testing or previous versions. So having a list of defect taxonomy would help you reduce your effort on risk analysis phase. Additionally, it will also help you to define your better regression plan in case of, where exactly to test it. Talking about 3 obsolete user access test cases and result for existing application, I think that's not something what you would prefer to have, because if it is obsolete, then of course obsolete things are no longer required, they're outdated. So this information certainly is not really required because user access is changing with the new release, as they told in the very first line of the device, and new user stories have been documented for that. So the old, which is absolute, which is no longer required to be considered. So 3 can be skipped. For performance metric for existing application, I think in the given scenario they did not mention anywhere that performance is an issue or that's one of our objectives. So new technology is being introduced, of course. So baselines should be obtained using device with similar technology, or defined performance requirement of this type of technology should exist. So that we will be taking care separately. But moreover, the scenario does not talk about that we have a problem or we have to concentrate or we have an SLA provided to us that this should be the performance threshold. So until unless they talk about it, that's not our concern. So let's look at the option 5, the statement 5. Defects logged during other similar conversions projects for medical devices. Yeah, this would be another important thing, because if there are any similar type of applications which you would have in past, it would be very helpful for us to do the risk analysis again, and we can talk about the areas what we need to pay attention in more detail. So defect log during the other similar conversion projects for medical devices in past would be very helpful to us to see the migration issues, right? So I think with that we actually got the right answer. Our statements which are true, or what we need additionally is updated version, existing defects, and defect for other conversions. So 1, 2, and 5. And I think the right answer here is C. That is 1, 2, and 5 are the other things what we need in order to support our test activities, which is updated version of standard document, existing defects or typical defect areas, and of course, the defect logged during conversion of other medical devices. Well, moving on to the next question here, question number 34. It is a straightforward one. It says, which alternative is best description of when to stop testing? That is release criteria in an agile project. I think this is a very straightforward question, so we don't have to pay attention to the question, but of course the word best certainly talks about it, that you may find partially correct answers in the given list of options. So you must pay attention to every single word to to conclude the best understanding of the right option. Okay, the word best says that you may have partially correct answers, but there will be only one option which will be fully correct. So you may sometime get on a merry-go-round and take a lot of time to come to the conclusion, or you may feel that more than one option is right. So pay attention to every single word in these type of questions, otherwise it's very tricky to get to the right one. Well, the four options what we have for us is A, all test cases have been executed. Yep, that's one of the interesting things which we can always talk about, the release criteria, because test cases are very important, but they tell us that what exactly to test, what exactly your plan was, and how exactly you can go ahead with the required set of executions. So planned tests have been executed or not is very important for us to determine whether we can stop testing or not. But when we talk about test cases and test charters are basically used as a basis for what to test, the number of executed test cases does not give any kind of information about what has been covered. So it's just not that one important thing what I need to include as a best parameter to determine when to stop. Getting my point? Of course, that's a good opinion to have that in the exit criteria, but that's not the best thing what I can have. Right? Because it's only telling me that you executed what you were supposed to execute, but does not give me the understanding of how much coverage has been achieved one way, right? Let's talk about the next one. The probability of remaining faults has been reduced to a level that can be accepted by the customer who has specified the requirement for the system under test. Absolutely. This is also one of the parameters of the exit criteria, that there might be a threshold or cutoff defined by the customer that the number of defects which are remaining to be fixed should be sufficiently low, then we accept the product. And this is not wrong. That's another one good parameter to be included in the exit criteria. But we are looking for the best. So for that, we have to check all the four options. C says the achieved test coverage is considered enough. That means the required coverage to be achieved on the system has been agreed, and that agreement has been achieved. The coverage limit is justified by the complexity of the included functionality, its implementation, and the risk involved. Now look at the three parameters, that what coverage we are talking about, or the coverage what we are talking about includes what parameters. One, the included functionality, the implementations what we did, that is coding, and the risk what we have considered. And the coverage shows me those information, that how much functionality we have covered, how much implementation we have covered, and how many risks we have mitigated, right? So it looks more technical in terms of determining that if I have this information and this satisfies the need of the project, then I can certainly stop. Looks so far the best option. And of course the option D says the iteration or sprint is finished. Sprint is, not just for the sprint is finished. It does not mean that the release is also over. You may have any number of sprints in a release, right? And that's not a determination that you can stop your project and release the product, because we are talking about stop testing, which is a release criteria in the agile project. So sprint has nothing to do with it. So D can be completely rolled out, and you can just mess up with A, B, C for some time to come to the conclusion that between A, B, C, which would be the best opinion or best option to call it as a stop criteria, which is exit criteria for a release. I think in that context put together, the best option what here we can consider as the right answer is C. The achieved test coverage is considered enough. The coverage limit is justified by the complexity of the included functionality, its implementation, and risk involved. Whereas the other two are also right, but compared to these two, C is the best answer. Well, that's all from this particular tutorial, team. Just because few lengthy questions are together, we just don't want to take a lot of things in one tutorial at a time, but we just want to give you the best information with best explanation in a short video. So that's all from this particular tutorial, team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to address your queries and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video, team, and happy learning.